Warning, the following video contains graphic content. Viewer discretion is advised. I'm like but this, someone sent me a copy, an early copy of Evil Within 2, and I'm going to do an unboxing video, but I'm going to celebrate by taking a shot of Crown Royal. Ooh, that's smooth. All right, well, let's go ahead and open this thing up. Oh, I must just be seeing shit on account of me chugging that Crown Royal. Let me pick the game up. Okay. Okay. That was friggin' really weird. Holy crap, man. Oh man, I'm like hallucinating now. I just swear I've seen this thing bleeding blood. Now, let's just go ahead and open it up and put it in. What the hell, did I grow a beard or something? Oh my god. After that, I don't even think I want to review that game anymore. Hello everybody, it's me, Nate, aka Devil Dog, and this time I'm back with an epic review of the just released Evil Within 2, also known as Psycho Break 2 in Japan. It was developed by Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda Softworks and runs off the ID Tech 5 engine, which they're dubbing the STEM engine. It was just released on October 13th on Friday of 2017, and it is a direct sequel to the 2014 Evil Within. It is on the Microsoft Windows, the PS4, and Xbox One. It is a third-person survival horror game where you play as Sebastian, once again returning after being fired as a detective 3 years ago after the aftermath of the first game. After not being trusted by anyone, he falls back into an alcoholic depression due to not being able to find any sort of leads to help him on his case and no one believing him. Now, as the game starts, you are contacted by your former partner, Julie Kidman, and she lets you know that your daughter, who was previously thought to be dead, that was burned to death in a fire, is actually still alive and being used as a new test subject for Mobius. So your quest takes you into a world created by her in her mind that is totally unstable, and you must race against time to save her while trying to solve the mystery behind her STEM-created world, the world of Union, why Mobius is doing this in the first place, and avoiding all kinds of different killers, personal fears, and your past traumas. The game features 3 difficulty modes: casual, survival, and nightmare, and the world and its levels are much larger with multiple ways to get through them this time. You start off, and very soon into the game you get a communicator, which is used to help you highlight items, objectives, and enemies throughout the worlds, including these things called resonance points, where it looks kind of like a shadow, and when you get close enough and you hold down the button, it'll open up and show plot backstories of the world and basically what happened while you were here in Union. It's It's pretty damn cool, actually, and it has a much larger overall world. It allows you to explore freely throughout the open world parts in Union, and the way it is there's multiple sections of the city that you get to explore, and it reminds me of Silent Hill 2 in a lot of ways in terms of the overall size of each parts of the town that you can go through, and you can collect items, fight enemies, and go into not all the houses, but some of the houses allow you to go into and progress to where you'll find ghosts, you'll fight monsters, and overall it is a fantastic addition to the overall game. You'll also come across these computers in the area that allow you to warp to other parts of the map and different levels that you can go through. So most of the Union aspect of it, the city parts are quite open, very vast, very large, with lots of nooks and crannies, hidden items that you can go out and find. And most of the main levels that you actually go through also contain like the rather corridor style shooter like the original game was. Now, to do side quests and items, you go around and you can find them, and it's pretty cool. And the main enemies in this game can be fought multiple ways. You can fight them directly with your weapons and guns, your melee attacks and stuff like that, or they can be stealth killed. Now, not all of them can be stealth killed. Some of them you'll come up and you'll attack, and they take more than one hit. And there'll be the little icon on screen, just like the first game. It looks like an eyeball, and as long as you figure out you can run and hide from them, and you can use the level to your advantage. Like one thing that I noticed which was kind of cool is there's like oil barrels that you can kick over, and you can lure the enemies into like the oil and then shoot it, set it on fire and burn them to death and kill the enemies that way. Or you can do the same thing with fire hydrants. You can smash open a fire hydrant, get a bunch of water on the ground, and when the enemies get in it, shoot it with your crossbow with like electricity bolts, and it'll electrocute them all, which is pretty cool. It has a crafting system that is returning that allows you to use gathered resources to build new items and more ammo, and it can be done anywhere, even in the open world, but it will cost a lot more materials that way. But if you find a workbench, you can actually go ahead and do it that way, and it costs a lot less. Most workbenches are located in save points, and throughout the open world of Union you can find them scattered throughout as well. It also has an upgrade system for your character that uses the green gel, similar to the first game, to upgrade Sebastian's abilities, and they're divided into 5 different skill trees. You have stealth, health, recovery, combat, and athleticism. And also with this is you'll use the green gel to unlock most of the stuff, and red gels that you'll find to get past and allow you to upgrade even more. Now, you can also customize your weapons with parts that you find around the game, mainly hidden in the world of Union, but a lot of the levels that you go through actually have a lot of them as well as you go through. Now, due to criticisms of the first game's confusing plot, this one is much more focused and way easier to comprehend, and the annoying black bars from the first game, and there was the aspect ratio, they removed those, so you can actually have a much better field of view this time. And while the game is very gore heavy, it has way more psychological horror aspects this time, and it has way more varied enemy assortment. Now, the safe houses that you'll locate throughout the area are basically where you can go and you'll find your mirrors there, which will allow you to warp back into your office. And in the office is where you can view slides that you find throughout the game. You can also go to a wheelchair, which will turn into the area where you can use your green gel to actually upgrade Sebastian there. And coffee in the save houses is a way that you can replenish your health. So, and you can only drink so much, then you have to wait a while and come back. You have to wait for the coffee machine to make more coffee, which is kind of funny, but hey, I don't have a really big problem with that. It's kind of funny. Now, as you go through the game world and the missions, you will also find more of those statues similar to the first game that you break open to get a key. There's like around 32 of them again, and this time when you go into your office to upgrade Sebastian, the nurse will show up, and off to the side in the same room is where you will use the key, where you have to randomly pick a box on the wall to open. Generally it just has more green gel in it, but occasionally you'll find ammo and upgrades and stuff like that. Now, this game does have a kind of a Resident Evil 4 feel to it, and consists of having two different control options, though it doesn't really vary the controls that much to where it's not really much of a difference. Yeah, really no difference at all. Now, just about every weapon you get in the game has its own ability to be upgraded, including the Warden crossbow, which you get fairly early on. Naturally, if you've ever played the first game, you'll know what the Warden crossbow is, but if you haven't, it is a crossbow that has multiple different bolts or arrows you can use to fight your enemies. You get your fire arrows, your explosive ones, your electricity, and stuff like that, and it's actually pretty damn cool. Now, keep in mind, Shinji Mikami, I probably said his name wrong. If I did, I apologize. He was the director of the first game, and this one he is not. He decided to step down and become an executive producer this time, and I think it was actually for the best, because overall this game has a lot of improvements on it. Now, they actually say that this game actually has support for Xbox One S and the PS4 Pro enhancements, but I have not noticed it at all. In fact, I think the fact is this game engine can handle stuff fairly decent, but in the end, I don't think it can really handle the outdoor areas that much. The game engine, I think the resolution looks worse. The graphics look slightly worse when you're in the outdoor world than you do on the inside compared to the first game. But considering just the overall sheer size of the open world of Union that you get to explore, you won't really notice it that much. It's still a very impressive game. Now, the highlights of it definitely are, I like the psychological horror, I like their new enemy types, and I definitely like the new main villain. The new main villain, hands down, is fantastic. I'm not going to get into massive details about him, but you'll see in some of the clips on this review that I do have him in it, just because it was so damn neat I had to leave him in. Now, it does have some high points. Like I said before, the enemy design and just overall world design and the level designs and the color are way better than the first game. In fact, it has a lot less jump scares and more psychological scares and gore than the first game did as well, which I really find is a big improvement. But along with the good aspects of it, hands down, is the sound. It has a great use of multi-dimensional sound effects, and the gun sounds are very good with really good reverberation as well. And overall, I think there's roughly about 17 game chapters in the game, and the game can take you about 10 to 20 some hours long to beat. Now, one thing is, once you die, and if you're in the outside area of Union, it will take you roughly about 15 to 20 plus seconds to reload into the game, which kind of is kind of annoying, actually. And when you first start the game out, it can start off kind of slow at the pacing until things start get going. And another thing I've noticed about the game is it doesn't really have much music through it. It does have music at certain parts, but most of it is the ambient, ambiance of the sound and everything that goes on in the game, which is really good, but I kind of wish there would have been more music into the game. Now, when you start the game off and you pick a different difficulty, the difficulties pretty much make it to where the AI is slightly smarter, but not by much. But mainly they do more damage, and the ammo placement and items you find are a lot scarcer, and overall you're a lot weaker, you take a lot more damage, and it does have a auto aim assist, which will allow you to auto aim and lock on the enemy's heads to shoot them, which is actually kind of nice, especially when you get attacked by several of the monsters. Now, it's kind of weird, like I said, is in order to get from one area to the next, you have to find a location that has like a computer, and when you load it, it does this really neat job, since this is basically like a horror version of the Matrix. While it's loading the level, it'll have you run in a blank room as it's, quote, loading the level up, which I think was a clever way to actually get around that. Now, there are some problems I have with this game that I definitely got to voice my opinion about. First of all, the voice of Sebastian. I liked him better the first time around. This time he sounds like a cross between Clint Eastwood and Snake Plissken, and I don't really like it. And the other big problem I have with it is the fact, like I said, is the game engine seems to have problems with the geometry popping in and textures popping in, especially when you're outside. I mean, most people won't notice it, but I really notice it, and it really bothers the hell out of me. Now, overall, the controls are just like the first game, which means they can be kind of clunky. They seem slower and clunky, and they didn't really evolve the control setup. And while you can play the game no problem, if this is a first time into this kind of game, you will notice the control doesn't really come off that well. And the story, hands down, is just downright fucking stupid. You'll have to get past the story because if you played the first game, you'll know he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know that this was some sort of like like a computer simulation, that if you die in the simulation, you die in real life. So he thought he was just hallucinating. This time he knows what's happening when he goes in. So the way he behaves and acts when he sees stuff in the game, I think is kind of stupid. I don't have a problem with him acting surprised, but just some of his remarks that he says comes off as being really stupid for somebody that kind of knows what's going on this time. Now, the other thing is it has terrible AI. I've had several instances where enemies are just flat ass dumb as hell. I mean, where you'll have like fences and stuff like that, and the enemies are just running into them. They're too stupid to know how to run around them. And I find that to be actually quite a disappointment with the overall fact of just how that so many other improvements with this game, but in the end there was no improvements there. And you got to think that this is a full price game. This is a $60 game. Now, all in all, for it being a sequel, they did do a lot of improvements compared to the first game. It does have a lot better overall level design. Hands down, I think was a brilliant move going with the open world. Like I said, it reminds me of a Silent Hill. But overall, the story, it falters really badly. But in the end, it does have a really good ending. It does have a very satisfying ending, and I can definitely say that is a plus, because I was really worried when I got to the end of this if it was going to be worth a crap in the end. Now, all in all, should you buy this game? Should you rent it, or should you pass? Well, that all depends if you like the first game. The first game was not really that well received. So I would say with this, if you like the first game, hands down, yes, buy this game. But only if you liked the first game, because this does have vast improvements in level design, but also has some problems compared to the first game as well. So that's why I'm saying only buy this game if you are a fan of the first game. Now, if you did not like the first game, then I would say just try this out, rent the game. At least rent it, or wait until there's a sale on it to pick it up. Now, if you didn't like the first game at all, and you don't like games like this at all, then no, stay away from it. Definitely stay away from it. If this isn't your type of game, then don't play it. But like I said, the only real way I can recommend that you buy this game is if you were actually a fan of the first one. Other than that, I wouldn't say pass on it. It's definitely worth playing, but just go ahead and rent it from a Redbox or rent it from your local video store. It's definitely worth at least playing through to get a good experience, to see how they did make some improvements on this game. Please leave a comment below if you actually like this review at all. Leave a comment below if you plan on playing this game, if you played the first one, if you think this is better, if you think it sucks worse than the first one. It always matters to me. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, please leave a like, and remember, I always end my videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and of course, people, the devil is in the details. Peace out.